Okay, so in this video, we are going to look at key areas to focus on P1. So our focus is looking at key areas in P1. You can say P1 last mile. What do you need to focus on in this particular? One of the area that you need to look at is what we call rational graphs or reciprocal graphs. That's what the first thing I want us to look at. So number one, in this particular video, I want to talk about reciprocal graphs. Shall look at reciprocal graphs. How do you sketch them? And sometimes kind of a question that have been asked before, how to identify the asymptotes. So we're going to talk about reciprocal graphs. What graphs are these? What do we mean by reciprocal graphs? So if you have a graph is equals to, let's for instance say you have 2 over x minus 1. This is a reciprocal graph. If you are told to sketch this graph, there are a few things that you need to have in mind. One of the concept that you must have in mind is the asymptote. What is going to be the asymptote in this case? So we have what we call horizontal asymptote, and we have vertical asymptote. So horizontal asymptote is usually obtained from the term that is added after this expression. After this expression that we have here, the term that is added here is the one that tells you what is the horizontal asymptote. For instance, in this case, we don't have anything here, so meaning that this is 0. So meaning the horizontal asymptote is y is equals to 0. But if we are finding the vertical asymptote, this is the one that gives us the vertical asymptote. So you take this part and equate it to 0. Yeah, once you have equated this to 0, so that becomes x minus 1 is equal to 0. So x, yes, write this properly, x is equal to 1 is our vertical asymptote. Our vertical asymptote is x is equal to 1. So meaning that if you are going to draw that graph, so we can have our graph like this. We have the x and y axis. So which means that since we have identified y is equal to 0, so meaning this x axis is also the horizontal asymptote, but the vertical asymptote the vertical asymptote is going to be x is equals to 1. So we check where we have 1. So our vertical asymptote is going to pass through this section. That is the vertical asymptote. Now, once you have identified the asymptotes, the next thing that you need to know is what we call the intercepts. You have to check whether you have the x-intercept or whether you have the vertical, the y-intercept. So we shall also find, the next business is to find intercept. After the asymptotes, horizontal and the vertical asymptote, find the intercepts. So the first intercept that we are going to find is the intercept that we call that x-intercept. At the x-intercept, y is equals to 0. So you are going to take the equation you are given and you take y is 0 there, and you can see you are going to have 0 is equals to 2 over x minus 1. Then if you multiply both sides by this term times x minus times x minus 1, here x minus 1, you realize that this will cancel out, but you will have 0 is equals to 2. So this is not true. There's no way you can have 0 is equals to 2. So meaning x-intercept does not exist. And the reason as to why the x-intercept does not exist is because this graph, the x-axis is a horizontal asymptote. Then we need also to say at y-intercept, x is equals to 0. So anywhere you have x in this equation that we have, we are going to replace 0. So this is going to be y is equals to 2 over 0 minus 1, which implies that our y is going to be equals to negative 2. So meaning this graph is going to cut the y-axis at negative 2. So somewhere here. So once you have this, so it means that the graph is going to cut. It's going to cut like that. So because one of the intercepts will tell you which section is the graph going to sit. So the graph is going to sit here. And then if the graph sits on this side, then the other remaining part of the graph is going to behave like that. So that is how we are going to sketch this kind of graph. Okay, so once you have that, we are good to go. Let me just give you another example of a graph that you can be asked. Maybe if you are given y is equals to, let's say 3 over x plus, let me use a different number there, plus 4 minus 3. Let me use a different number here, minus 1. So what we have said, this part will give us the horizontal, the vertical asymptote. So which means vertical asymptote is going to be x minus 4 plus 4 is equals to 0. So therefore x is equals to minus 4. That is the vertical asymptote. And this part that we have here, for this graph is going to give us the horizontal asymptote. So that's going to be y is equals to negative 1. So done with one of the parts, then it means now the next part that you have there is to find the intercepts. So we have at x-intercept, y is equals to 0. So if you have this equation, you are going to say basically this is going to be 0 is equals to 3 over x plus 4 minus 1. So if you take 1 on the other side, you will end up having 1 is equals to 3 over x plus 4. And if you rearrange this, it's going to be x plus 4 is equals to 3. So what does that mean? That means that x is equals to 3 minus 4, which means that x is equals to minus 1. That is the x-intercept. X-intercept is minus 1. What about the y-intercept before we do anything? So y-intercept, we know at y-intercept x is equals to 0. So meaning that this equation will be y is equals to 3 over 0 plus 4 minus 1. So this is going to reduce to be y is equal to 4 over 3 minus 1, which is going to, is going to be 3 over 4 minus 1, and that is going to be negative 1 over 4. So that is the y-intercept. So meaning that we can go ahead and sketch the graph for that part. And first, let's talk about the asymptotes. Vertical asymptote. Vertical asymptote will be where? Will be where x is equals to negative 4. So meaning this is going to be negative 4 here. And then if we are to draw that, we are going to draw a vertical asymptote passing through that point. Vertical asymptote. And then if we are to identify, we identify the horizontal asymptote, we have said the horizontal asymptote is y is equals to minus 1. So we are going to take, for instance, minus 1. If minus 1 is here, you can say minus 1 there. Yeah, so the graph beautifully be continue like that. Then we got x-intercept. So minus 1. Was that true? Let's see. Minus 1. Y is equals to minus 1. Okay, so is that behaving? Is that equation behaving? Let me just backtrack and check if everything is in order. Yeah, so vertical asymptote is x is equals to minus 4. Horizontal asymptote is y is equals to negative 1. Yeah, this one. Then we have x-intercept, y is equals to 0. So if we multiply this, becomes 1 here. So we shall have x plus 4, and that becomes minus 1. And the y-intercept will be x is equals to negative 4. Negative 4. X is equals to y-intercept, x is equals to negative 4. Okay. So this is the y-intercept. So if this is the y-intercept will be somewhere here. So the graph will definitely go like that and like that. And the other section of the graph will be well seated here. Yeah, so basically that is how you are going to draw reciprocal graphs when you are asked a question. Yeah, if you have any question, just write in the comment section so that I can be able to respond to it. Okay, so another concept that you need to master as far as this exam is concerned is the concept of completing the square. So as far as complete the square, you may be given maybe a function is equals to y is equals to 2x squared minus 8x plus 4. And you are supposed to express this in the form y is equals to a into x minus b squared plus c. So in order to express this, the first thing that you really need to do is to look at the two terms that we have here. Once you have identified those two terms that we have there, these two terms that we have here, you are going to say y is equals to, you factor 2 out, you remain with x squared minus 4 x squared then plus 4. So we are going now to focus and complete the square of what's inside here. And if we complete the square of that part, we shall say y is equals to 2 into bracket x, we take x and then a half of this number that we have here, which is going to be 2. Half of 4 will be 2. Then you square that. You pick x and you take a half of this number so that you have minus 2, then you square. Then remember that you have to subtract the square of this number that is here. So that in any case this is negative or positive, always you will subtract outside here and you will have 2 squared, which is going to be, you subtract 4, then plus the 4 that was already there. So upon having that, now we need to simplify that further. So that becomes y is equals to 2 into x minus 2 squared minus 8 plus 4. Minus 8 is coming from multiplying this and this to give us minus 8. And finally, the final equation becomes 2 into x minus 2 squared minus 8. Minus 8 plus 4, that's going to be minus 4. So if you are told minimum point, we have a turning point is going to be obtained from the number that you are having here and the number that we are having here. So you take opposite sign of the sign that we are having in this case. So that's going to be positive 2, comma, negative 4. The number outside here, you take the sign the way it is. But inside, when you are picking the turning point, you pick the number that is inside the bracket, which is going to give you the x value. And always you take the opposite sign. But the y coordinate comes from the outside part, and you take the sign the way it is. So you'll be given a question like this. However, you will also be given a question that is a bit different. You may be given a question that looks like this. So this type of question, or given y is equals to, let's say 16 plus 4x minus 2x squared. So you may be given an expression that looks like that, and then you are supposed to express it in this particular form. So for you to complete the square of this, what you need to say first, you group these two together. So if you group two together, you are going to factor out -2, and that's going to be y is equals to 16 minus 2 into x squared minus 2x. So y is equals to 16 minus 2 into bracket x minus a half of this becomes 1. Then we square, we shall subtract the square of this, which is 1. So y is equals to 16 minus 2 into x minus 1 squared. And if you open the bracket, this becomes -2 times -1 becomes +2. And finally, our final answer becomes y is equals to 16. 16 plus 2 will be 18, guys. So that's going to be 18 minus 2 into x minus 1 squared. Now, what will be the turning point of this? All turning point, all stationary point, all maximum point. Because definitely this graph will be looking like this. It will be a graph that is opening downwards. Yeah? Because the coefficient of this was negative. So this will give us maximum point. What will be the coordinate of the maximum point? You pick, then sign here is negative, so the x coordinate will be 1 positive, and this sign here is positive 18, so it will be 18. So that is going to be the turning point. And if they are asking you the line of symmetry, is a line that passes through the x coordinate. So the line of symmetry is going to be x is equals to 1. Yeah, line of symmetry is x is equals to 1. So basically those some of the areas you really have to look at as far as this paper is concerned. So in our next stream, we shall be looking at also, in our next stream, we shall be looking at intercalculus, our next live stream shall be looking at calculus, differentiation and integration. So guys, remember to subscribe. So we shall look at how a question asked in integration and differentiation, especially in P1.